aromatic adventure.
How about we try something completely new? Yankee Candle Archives. We all have many questions when it comes to Yankee candles, and unfortunately a lot of these questions do go unanswered. One that has always haunted me is that when I buy a Yankee candle, well, how long do I have until I have to burn this candle? Yankee Candle usually states that when you buy a Yankee candle, you should burn it within 5 years, but I've clearly smelled Yankee candles that are over 25 years old that smelled fantastic and burned perfectly. But also think about all of the many hundreds of fragrances that we will never see again, that are long retired and will never be back. All of the one-run, single batch candles, the limited edition, collector's edition. These artifacts, but these relics are still out there, but there is no such thing as a Yankee Candle historian. At least not yet. Also, if I bought a candle today, let's say spiced pumpkin, but I also bought a house warmer spiced pumpkin back in 1995, what happens when we add time to the variables? What does time do to the scent, the fragrance, to the candle? Does it do nothing at all? All of these are questions that we can answer here in Yankee Candle Archives. And this isn't just me spewing off information. It's very important that this is an interactive experience, that you share all of your knowledge, all of what you have learned throughout your course of being a Yankee Candle lover, a fan, and sharing that in the comments below, making this a dialogue between all of us. So first candle that I would like to share with today is really not that old. There was a collection released in 2012, you probably heard of it. It was called the Man's Collection. And it was a line geared towards, guess what? Men. But in 2014, they released several new fragrances. And one of those fragrances was this candle right here, Camouflage. Now, if we take a close look at this jar, we can see that this is not, of course, the new United States label. This was the older, what most people would consider the classic label. We have a camouflage print or fabric, and the wax is a very, very dark hunter green color, of course, paraffin. Collector's edition candles. Now, the question is, how did I get this? How much did I get this for? Is it an expensive candle? Yeah, this could go for a lot of money on eBay. The thing is, I bought this in a really bad condition or state. Yeah, there's the beginnings of some severe tunneling. Now, I have a few of my own tricks up my sleeve to fix tunneled or what some people would consider irreversible, unfixable Yankee candles. And not only did I fix this candle, I cleaned it up, and I've tried burning this, I've tested it, it pulls out beautifully, and this is highly fragrant, which takes us to the next part of the conversation. What does this candle smell like? Remember that it's only been a couple of years since Yankee Candle has publicly released the fragrance notes to their candles. That's right. If you were buying Yankee candles anytime earlier than 2015, you had no idea what the ingredients were inside the fragrances. All that there was a little pamphlet, a book that was exclusive only to Yankee Candle employees. It was called Fragrance Finder. It was a little pamphlet. It would be supplemented with every new collection that would come out. I tried everything years ago to get my hands on one of these pamphlets, and I never had any luck. I even considered applying to Yankee Candle just so I could get my hands on one of those pamphlets. But now, Yankee Candle doesn't seem to find a reason to keep the fragrance notes a secret any longer. So, Camouflage, and I have Yankee's notes right here. Top notes of fresh air and leafy notes. Now, I am not a big fan of candle companies releasing fragrance notes. I have no problem with them poetically suggesting what the candle smells like. But when you say this has top notes of fresh air and leafy greens, you can't bottle fresh air. And leafy greens, well, that's about as vague as you're possibly gonna get. Now, these are helpful to know when you're purchasing the candle, but I almost feel like a lot of customers look at these fragrance notes a little bit too literally, or even better yet, scientifically. So fresh air does have a smell, but it completely depends on the environment. But in the fragrance industry, as I've discussed before, fresh air is usually portrayed by a combination of two different things: citrus, fruit, and florals, which I certainly would agree when I smell this candle. Now, leafy greens, you better believe it. Whether it be kale, spinach, romaine, dandelion greens, that whole aisle down your produce section of your grocery store, if it's green, good chance it smells like this candle. Mid notes: spring blossoms. Again, vague, but something that I'm okay with. Spring blossoms. Dandelions, very specific. That I like, that we can relate to. You say the smell of dandelions, I don't know about you, but I can visualize what dandelions smell like. Images come pouring through my head, memories come flushing through my mind. Base notes of patchouli and sandalwood. Patchouli is one of those fragrance notes that people really get afraid of. Patchouli is a part of the mint family, and it's been used for thousands of years. It was used even back in ancient Egypt to disguise bad aroma, right? Hygiene wasn't the greatest thing back in those days. They liked the smell of patchouli, but it also covered up very foul odors. Sandalwood. Sandalwood is a note that we see in fragrances and colognes, perfumes all of the time. It's a nice, clean wood smell, and I definitely agree with that. But I definitely have a little bit more specific notes that I want to throw in, and some of my own unique notes that are not really addressed here. So let me give this a quick sniff. As far as intensity, for this candle being 4 years old, it is strong. Green bell pepper. No kidding. If you have this candle at home, take it off the shelf. You smell the lid. Don't smell the candle. Smell the lid and tell me that you do not smell green bell pepper. More specifically, the membrane inside, that whiter stuff that we trim before we cook that bell pepper, and even the seeds. And I'll take it even one step further. Ancho chili peppers. And the reason why I want to say that is because this is borderline spicy. This green bell pepper component, element, quality to this candle is adding some spice, which is interesting because although it is a vegetable, it's a vegetal quality in this candle, it's adding to the masculinity. It's almost fitting into a profile of men's cologne. Now, I wrote down here on my notes fabric softener, which definitely does go back and address the fresh air in Yankee Candle's notes. I also listed cucumber skin, kale, spinach. All of those are going to fit into the leafy green category that Yankee Candle has described. Dandelion for sure. Dandelion is something I don't think anyone will disagree with, but there's several other florals that I definitely do want to mention. Geranium being one of them. I get that very specific smell when you walk into the florist and you smell that pile of freshly clipped rose stems. There's that very strong, pungent green chlorophyll smell. Adding to the men's cologne profile, I'm gonna say Thai basil. Basil sounds weird. Sounds like that's like, you know, it belongs in an Italian restaurant, not in a candle. But basil is used all of the time in the fragrance industry and a lot for men's cologne. So basil and vetiver. Vetiver, if you don't know this word, you have to look it up. You have to go smell this fragrance oil, essential oil. Vetiver is a very earthy fragrance that is very popular. It's almost synonymous with masculine fragrances. So men's cologne slash green vegetation, green bell pepper with a little bit of spice. This candle is it camouflage? In my opinion, does it reflect the concept of camouflage? I think it's close enough. I think everyone's going to have a very specific opinion on this candle, but when you're dealing with a high concept like this, of course, camouflage would not smell like anything other than I guess the environment you would find camouflage clothing in, or the actual clothing itself, in which case it could smell like fresh laundry, or dirty laundry, for that matter. Medium intensity as far as burning, and on cold sniff, pretty high intensity. There it is, a 2014 Camouflage Man's Collection Yankee Candle. Part of the first episode of Yankee Candle Archives. If you have any suggestions for candles that are long gone or have been around for years, but you could swear they have changed recipes over time, please suggest these fragrances in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to see more content just like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys real soon. Have a good one.